We're already halfway through 2026, and over the past 6 months, many great indie games have been released across various genres. So today, we are going to count down the best 25 indie games in this first half of 2026. We start at number 25 with KuloNiku Bowl Up. You step into a detailed, relaxing simulation where you manage every aspect of running a bustling culinary business. The mechanics are wonderfully intricate, letting you perfect recipes, manage resources, and customize your restaurant to attract a loyal customer base. I loved how accessible yet deep the management systems are, allowing me to carefully balance my budget while experimenting with new menu items. The bright, colorful art style and upbeat soundtrack create an incredibly cozy atmosphere that makes running a kitchen feel oddly therapeutic. If you need a charming, highly polished management sim to sink your teeth into, this is an absolute treat. And the number 24, Demon Tides. You once again take control of Beebs, navigating beautifully designed 3D platforming worlds with that signature 2D character art style that still looks absolutely stunning. The platforming mechanics are tighter than ever, demanding precise jumps and clever use of Beeb's expanding moveset to conquer complex multi-stage levels. I experienced that perfect blend of challenge and joy, especially during the wildly inventive boss fights that truly test everything you've learned. The fluidity of the animations and the catchy soundtrack make every new zone feel like a Saturday morning cartoon come to life. It's a stylish, fiercely fun sequel that builds perfectly on its predecessor's unique charm. Next, at number 23, The Legend of Khiimori. It's a gorgeous, culture-rich open-world RPG that completely pulled me into the myths and sprawling vistas of ancient Mongolia. You play as a young nomad, trying to unite the fractured tribes with deep horseback riding mechanics and grounded, archery-focused combat. The size of the steppes is staggering. I spent hours just galloping through the grassy plains, losing myself completely in the beautiful environment and dynamic weather. I was so moved by the respectful and detailed way you described the nomadic culture, and by the rich story full of folklore that guides your journey. It's the survival aspects of it, building camp, hunting for food, that make the epic adventure feel grounded in a very satisfying reality.
I ride to survive.
And next is number 22, Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. It's a spectacular return to form that masterfully revitalizes the legendary turn-based strategy franchise for a modern audience. Returning to the world of Enroth, the game perfectly captures the deep, addictive one more turn loop of exploring the map, gathering resources, and building up massive armies. The tactical grid-based combat is as challenging and rewarding as ever, with beautifully updated unit animations and an overhauled spellcasting system. The gorgeous, vibrant art direction immediately swept me away, as did the sweeping, nostalgic orchestral score accompanying your conquests. Playing through the sprawling, richly detailed campaigns reminded me exactly why I fell in love with this series in the first place. Coming in at number 21, Windrose. It's an immersive pirate survival game that captures the brutal, thrilling reality of the open ocean. You start with practically nothing, forced to scavenge islands, craft your first ship, and survive the elements while fending off rival swashbucklers. I was blown away by the deep survival mechanics that make simply catching the wind, managing supplies, and keeping your crew alive feel like a genuine high-stakes adventure. Every new procedurally generated island I discovered held dangers and treasures that constantly tested my resourcefulness and preparation. Building up from a leaky raft to a formidable pirate vessel was an incredibly rewarding progression loop that kept me coming back. Running for the gas, running down to old Maui. Next is number 20, Far Far West. It's a riotous cowboy co-op action game that is an absolute blast to play with friends. You and your posse explore a stylized frontier, engaging in intense, hilarious shootouts and coordinating to pull off wild heists and missions. The The world feels incredibly vast and inviting, filled with bizarre side quests and hidden secrets that constantly rewarded our collective curiosity. I absolutely love the fast-paced, rootin' gunplay, especially when a perfectly planned robbery inevitably devolved into chaotic laugh-out-loud slapstick. The mix of traditional six-shooter action with the unpredictable nature of co-op multiplayer keeps the game feeling fresh and relentlessly fun. It's a joyous, wildly creative romp that breathes fantastic new life into the Western genre. Coming number 19, Stonemachia. Crossfall Games actually crafted a brilliant third-person Souls-like, where the brutal combat is entirely themed around the rules and pieces of chess. You embody Zafiro, a humble pawn exploring the Italian folklore-inspired lands of Medellin, with the unique ability to transform into different chess pieces to alter your combat style. The tactical depth is incredibly satisfying, swapping into a knight for sweeping L-shaped strikes or a rook for heavy linear devastation completely changes how you approach every punishing encounter. I found the challenging boss fights to be surprisingly strategic, requiring careful stamina management and a deep understanding of your opponent's movement patterns. The gorgeous, classical art style provides a beautifully haunting backdrop to the absolute carnage you unleash. And next is number 18, OPUS Prism Peak. This game is a profoundly emotional narrative adventure that once again proves Sagono knows exactly how to break my heart in the best way possible. You play as a photographer lost in an ethereal realm, capturing memories through your camera to help wandering spirits find their way home. The photography mechanics are incredibly soothing, seamlessly integrated into a story about letting go and finding closure. The gorgeous melancholic soundtrack and the deeply empathetic writing of the various spirits I encountered consistently move me to tears. Every photo you take feels like preserving a fleeting, precious moment in a beautifully crafted, dreamlike world. It's a stunning, quiet masterpiece that serves as a beautiful reminder to cherish the present. Coming number 17, Crisol, Theater of Idols. The game plunges you into a horrifying, folklore-inspired alternate Spain, delivering a first-person shooter experience drenched in blood and religious iconography. You use your own health as a resource to power your devastating weapons, creating a frantic, high-stakes combat loop that demands constant aggression to survive. The macabre, sun-bleached environments are breathtakingly unsettling, perfectly capturing a feeling of oppressive, creeping dread. I was thoroughly impressed by how the game weaves complex puzzles and terrifying boss encounters into its gorgeous labyrinthine levels. The narrative is haunting and beautifully voice-acted, slowly unraveling a deeply disturbing tale of fanaticism and sacrifice. It's a stylish, visceral horror shooter that will leave your heart pounding long after you put it down.
But you know what they say.
Next is number 16, Esoteric Ebb. Christopher Bodegaard makes a phenomenally weird, deeply engrossing CRPG that feels like playing a wildly unpredictable tabletop campaign. You take on the role of a cleric who has lost their magic, forced to rely on sheer wit, dialogue, and terrible dice rolls to solve a political murder mystery. The writing is incredibly sharp and relentlessly funny, offering solutions to quests that I genuinely didn't expect the game to allow. I like that failures often resulted in more interesting, more chaotic results than successes, so that each interaction felt like a meaningful part of my story. The stylized, pencil-drawn aesthetics give the world a distinct, gritty personality that perfectly matches the game's cynical tone. If you love deep, choice-driven RPGs with a fantastic sense of humor, this is a masterpiece you cannot skip. Next is number 15, Voidling Bound. Voidling Bound is a wildly creative third-person sci-fi shooter and monster taming game from Hatchery Games. You're a space wrangler, hunting down and reclaiming corrupted planets, but instead of just shooting stuff, you're able to take direct control of alien creatures called Voidlings to do your bidding. The depth of the monster progression is staggering. I found myself completely hooked on guiding their branching evolution paths and upgrading their abilities to take down massive bubonic bosses. Collecting, mutating, and commanding these weird beasts to fight off swarms of enemies feels surprisingly fresh and chaotic in the combat loop. It's a brilliantly unique spin on the creature collecting genre that completely respects your time while offering endless strategic possibilities. And in number 14, Planet of Lana II. Returning to the breathtaking world of Planet of Lana II felt like stepping back into a beautifully painted sci-fi dreamscape. This cinematic puzzle platformer expands on the first game's themes of nature versus machine, bringing even more intricate companion-based puzzles to solve. I was immediately struck by the gorgeous hand-painted visuals and the emotionally evocative orchestral score that perfectly sets the tone of the adventure. The relationship between Lana and her adorable companion, Mui, feels even more nuanced this time around, making their cooperative survival genuinely touching. Navigating stealth sequences and manipulating massive robotic enemies provided some truly tense, memorable moments. In number 13, MENACE. The new sci-fi tactical RPG from the creators of Battle Brothers is a brilliantly punishing experience that completely consumed my strategic mind. You command the strike force of Marines, mercenaries, and mechs on a lawless frontier world where every decision carries immense permanent weight. The tactical turn-based combat is incredibly deep, forcing you to utilize cover, manage suppression, and carefully coordinate your squad to survive overwhelming odds. I was constantly on edge, knowing that a single mistake could result in the permanent loss of a veteran soldier I had spent hours customizing. The dynamic campaign map and morally gray narrative choices gave every skirmish a sense of desperate, gritty purpose. It's a remarkably deep, challenging strategy game that will absolutely test your leadership skills. And next in number 12, Mina the Hollower. Yacht Club Games has done it again with Mina the Hollower, a top-down action adventure that perfectly captures the gothic charm of classic Game Boy Color titles. Playing as Mina, an inventive mouse equipped with a trusty whip, you burrow through the ground to dodge enemies and solve clever environmental puzzles. The burrowing mechanic completely changes the way you approach combat and traversal, making the game feel remarkably fresh despite its retro aesthetic. I love the spooky Victorian-inspired world, with quirky characters, challenging bosses, and secrets around every corner. Every victory felt incredibly earned, and the tight, responsive controls made exploring the cursed island an absolute joy. It's a masterful homage to handheld classics that modernizes the formula with incredible polish and heart. Next, at number 11, MOTORSLICE is an exhilarating action-adventure parkour game that perfectly combines high-speed free-running with stylish hack-and-slash mechanics. You vault, wall run, and slide your way through breathtaking environments, slicing through obstacles and enemies with incredible fluidity. The tight controls are astounding, chaining together a mid-air dash into a devastating combo before seamlessly transitioning back into a sprint felt incredible every single time. I was constantly chasing the flow state, completely entranced by the brutal, balletic destruction you can unleash while staying in constant motion. The thumping soundtrack perfectly matches the breakneck pace, making every encounter feel like a high-stakes action movie.
Eliminate the machines and get out. That was the...
To create the shops.
And the number 10, Town to City. The game takes the familiar city builder genre and injects it with an incredibly cozy micromanagement charm that completely won me over. Instead of sprawling metropolises, you focus on the organic, block-by-block growth of a small, vibrant community. The thing that sets it apart is the attention to individual citizens. I loved seeing my little residents form routines, start local businesses, and form relationships depending on how I built their neighborhood. The watercolor art style is so relaxing. It's the perfect game to relax with after a stressful day. I felt a real sense of pride to see my sleepy little hamlet naturally develop into a bustling town that was connected to other towns. It's a wonderfully relaxing, deeply personal take on urban planning that feels less like a spreadsheet and more like tending to a garden. Coming in number 9, Running Train. This game is an incredibly realistic Japanese train simulation crafted by a talented solo Indonesian developer at Novatesu Games. You hop into the cabin as a train conductor and handle the speeds and schedules of beautifully rendered routes like the Hayamori Coastal Railway. The level of detail is mind-boggling, and it's no surprise that Japanese media themselves praised the game for its authentic, true-to-life visuals and operational mechanics. I was totally zen watching the gauges and slowing the train for stations, caught up in the peaceful rhythm of rail transit. The stunning graphics and soothing soundscapes elevate the simulation into something truly spectacular. And the number 8, Mewgenics. Edmund Macmillan's long-awaited Mewgenics finally clawed its way into our lives, and it is every bit as chaotic, disturbing, and brilliantly addictive as I hoped. This bizarre, cat-breeding tactical RPG has you hoarding, mutating, and sending generations of bizarre felines into brutal turn-based combat. The genetic crossbreeding system is absurdly deep, leading to incredibly hilarious and often tragic combinations of traits, diseases, and strange abilities. I found myself uncomfortably attached to my deeply flawed cat armies, genuinely mourning them when they fell victim to the game's unforgiving roguelike dungeon crawls. The signature grimy art style and dark humor are in full force, creating an experience that's equal parts repulsive and impossible to put down. And next, in number 7, Deda's Disco. It's an action beat-em-up rhythm game that completely swept me off my feet with its pulsating soundtrack and cyberpunk aesthetic. You play as Charlie Disco, an undead drummer on a neon-drenched quest to confront his former sellout bandmates, fighting through waves of enemies in perfect time with the music. The gameplay creates an infectious groove, rewarding you for syncing your dodges and devastating finishers to the beat like you're starring in a hyper-violent music video. I was unexpectedly pulled into the gritty atmosphere, especially since the early access version even lets you import your own custom soundtracks to brawl to. Nailing a perfect combo to my favorite songs gave me an immense rush that few other games have managed to replicate. It's a stylish, visceral love letter to both rhythm and action games that shouldn't be missed.
Thought it was a case.
Next is number 6, Mouse PI for Hire. Fumi Games completely captured my heart with Mouse PI for Hire, a wildly creative first-person shooter dripping in 1930s rubber hose animation style. Stepping into the shoes of the hard-boiled mouse detective Jack Pepper felt like jumping straight into a vintage cartoon, complete with cheesy crack wax and wonderfully absurd weapons. The visual presentation is flawlessly executed, but I was genuinely surprised by how tight and satisfying the gunplay actually is as you blast your way through the corrupt streets of Mouseburg. The way the game balances laugh-out-loud slapstick comedy with genuinely challenging shooter mechanics is nothing short of brilliant. It's a nostalgic, chaotic masterpiece that easily stands out as one of the most unique games of the year.
This case was more trouble than it was
To touch eternity for an instant.
Coming in number 5, Cairn. Cairn takes the concept of survival climbing and distills it into an incredibly gripping, meditative experience. This game forces you to carefully consider every single handhold and foothold as you navigate treacherous, awe-inspiring mountain faces. I was struck by how tactile and punishing the climbing mechanics feel. It's a delicate balance of stamina management, route planning, and sheer willpower that constantly kept me on the edge of my seat. The solitary atmosphere, underscored by the howling wind and breathtaking vistas, created a profound sense of isolation that I found deeply moving. Making it to a difficult summit after multiple harrowing falls genuinely elicited a shout of triumph from me. It's a raw, uncompromising journey about human endurance that you absolutely need to experience.
I'm just here to climb.
Climbing won't make you rich.
Next is number 4, Paralives. The team at Paralives Studio has crafted a life simulator that feels wonderfully intimate and remarkably freeing, directly challenging the giants of the genre. The sheer granularity of the build tools and character creator, which they call the Paramaker, let me design my dream home and avatars with an unprecedented level of precision and ease. But it's the spontaneous, personality-driven interactions between the characters that really breathe life into my playthrough, making every neighborhood feel genuinely dynamic. I've spent countless hours just watching my para-folks navigate their messy, charming lives without feeling the need to micromanage their every move. It's a cozy, deeply satisfying sandbox that respects your creativity and completely reinvigorates the life sim formula. And in number 3, Escape from Ever After. If you ever wondered what happens when fairy tales get aggressively gentrified by a ruthless corporation, Escape from Ever After provides a hilariously grim answer. This delightfully witty turn-based RPG has you fighting back against Ever After Inc., a capitalist conglomerate that has decided storybooks are an untapped market ripe for exploitation. I was cracking up at the clever satirical writing that flips old tropes on their heads, but still manages to keep the stakes high. Deep, engaging turn-based tactical combat requires careful positioning and clever use of your party's quirky abilities to take down corporate goons. What really surprised me was the emotional undercurrent. Beneath the humor lies a genuinely touching story about reclaiming your own narrative. Next, in number 2, Replaced. Replace has been one of my most anticipated games for years, and Sad Cat Studios finally delivered an alternate history cyberpunk experience that exceeded my wildest expectations. You play as an artificial intelligence trapped in a human body, navigating a gritty, beautifully rendered 2.5D pixel art vision of 1980s America. What first struck me was the palpable atmospheric density of its universe. Each neon-soaked alley and bleak terrain is steeped in cinematic suspense. The free-flow combat is incredibly crunchy and satisfying, but it's the quiet, melancholic moments of discovery that really left a mark on me. I found myself completely engrossed by the dark narrative surrounding corporate greed and the meaning of humanity. And in the top of the list, Alabaster Dawn. The latest 2.5D action RPG from the incredible team at Radical Fish Games has absolutely devoured my free time this year. Taking everything that made Crosscode legendary, this spiritual successor drops you into a stunning, ruined world that you actively rebuild as you play. The combat is where it truly shines, letting you seamlessly swap between 4 elements and 8 unique weapons to pull off some genuinely stylish combos. I was blown away by the depth of the gem enchantment system, which turns every encounter into a thrilling, customizable puzzle. Watching settlements physically grow and change around me as I progressed gave the story an immense emotional weight that stuck with me long after I put the controller down. So, that is the video. Which game is your favorite? Or do you have others' favorites outside the list? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.